Hi, Clara. This is Cynthia Murray with the Clerk of the Board. I'm here for Hewlett. I have Ms. Sanciano here, wondering if you could do a presentation check. Let's see. I do see your mic is unmuted, but I do not hear you. Do you want to do a mic test one more time? Hello? Yeah, we're not hearing your audio. Just 1 second. Hi, Cara. Can we do another audio check?
Hello, can you hear me?
I sure can. Thank you so much.
Oh, great.
And I just wanted to verify, will you be sharing the presentation today for item 4?
Yes,
Perfect.
and you want me to test that out now?
Yeah, if you'd like to do a test, that would be wonderful.
Hi, Clara. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Good, good.
Okay.
Can you see the presentation on the screen?
I sure can. If you want to scroll through just a few, just to make sure it's going through perfectly.
Sure. How's that? Do you see
That
the flip?
that looks
Okay.
great. Yep. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Committee meeting for February 19th, 2026. I'll call the meeting to order at 10:03. My name is Margaret Abe-Koga. I'm the chair of the committee, and I'm here with my vice chair, Sylvia Arenas. At this time, please turn off or mute all electronic devices, including cell phones that may interrupt the meeting. And I just want to note that I have a hard stop at 11:45, so we'll do our best to keep the meeting moving. And with that, may I ask Cynthia for a roll call, please?
Yes, Vice Chairperson Arenas,
Here.
Chairperson Nabakoga.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Thank you. We'll move on to item 2, which is public comment. This item is reserved for persons who wish to address the committee on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee that is not on this agenda. Law does not permit committee action or extended discussion on any item not on the agenda, except under special circumstances. Members wishing to speak may address the committee on a non-agendized item and by requesting to speak at this time, using the request to speak form and providing that to the deputy clerk if you're in the chambers, or please use the raise hand icon if attending virtually. Cynthia, are there any speakers?
There are, one moment for the Zoom room, there are no requests to speak.
Great, thank you. Then we'll close that and move on to item 3, which is the consent calendar. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions or changes to the agenda?
None.
Great, thank you. I actually wanted to ask that item 5 and 7 be heard concurrently. Those are the items on the housing and the homeless, is that right? The Office of Supportive Housing System of Care, which is 7, and then 5 is on also from OSH relating to the production of housing. So hearing those concurrently. And then item 6, I wanted to make a few comments and then ask to it be put on consent. So on item 6, I just wanted to say I'm very pleased that Mitchell Park is no longer a potential project, but it's actually complete. It's a home. I see it. I go by there and I see it. It's, I guess, near completion or completed. And by completing this and achieving full occupancy, we have delivered 50 units of high-quality supportive housing to Palo Alto. More are coming in Los Altos and Cupertino with Distal Circle. Also see that coming up really quickly, actually. And that's at the first 100% affordable development in Los Altos, proving that affordable housing, it belongs in every community. And then I'm very much looking forward to the Cupertino Educator Housing Project. This will support workforce housing with middle-income rental options for folks in the Cupertino area, much needed there too. So with that, if I could, move item 6 to consent and then 5, 7 to be heard concurrently.
I second that, and I'll make comments now for item 6. First of all, I just love that we're having these kinds of housing developments in very well-resourced areas, which I think just has shown really changes the trajectory of people's lives. And so I'm really pleased to see that in the progress of it. I'm excited also to see that, of course, this is for teachers and or for the school district. I'm wondering, will everybody in the school district qualify? So that means, custodians or and support staff, or is it just teachers specifically?
Maybe not. There we go. Thank you, Supervisor Ness, for the question. With the educator workforce housing for each of the projects, so first of all, we have our first educator workforce housing in the city of Palo Alto, 231 Grant Avenue, and there were a lot of lessons learned there. We're actually struggling to fill some of the units on the lower income level side. So we're taking those lessons and applying them to the new project in Cupertino. I'm not sure what that
That's
sound
the
is.
rain.
Oh, it might be the rain. And so we have been, we have a a working group out of West Valley educators that are helping us determine how many of the units should be set aside for teachers, aides, and other workers in the school district. So we're still in the middle of that designing process and applying the lessons learned from our Palo Alto project.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that those lessons learned are paving way for this. And I'm fortunate to hear, but although I guess it's a good sign that our teachers are getting paid well enough that they don't qualify for the lower income brackets that you just spoke about. Is that what it reflects?
I'd be happy, Supervisor, either through an off agenda or working through KJ and her team to provide you more details. They are in the middle of that learning phase, and so the information I have is more anecdotal. I think we want to see the real data, and so we are happy to provide an off agenda or bring it back to you in a different way that you would.
I'm open to if the chair would like additional information. I was just curious
yes.
about that.
That would be actually really interesting. I wanted to share that in Mountain View we did a private developer project, and there was the same situation. So they actually had to increase the AMI income level qualifications, and it turns out with two-income households, they exceed the limits. So definitely lots of lessons learned, I think, that we can share. So that'd be great if we could have that information. Would you like it agendized at some kind of?
I'll leave it to your criteria.
Oh, okay.
Would you like it agendized, or would you like it just off agenda?
Why don't we start with off agenda, and then
Okay.
if we have more questions, we could bring it back. Thank you. So with that, we have a motion and a second.
And just to confirm, we have no requests to speak on this item.
Great.
Vice Chairperson Arenas
Yes.
and Chairperson Navakoga.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to our regular agenda. The first item is item 4, to receive a report from the Office of the County Executive and Department of Planning and Development relating to final recommendations for the permitting process improvements for all development types, including agricultural worker housing. And do we have staff presenting?
Yes, good morning. Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. And we are excited to be back before you today. With me is Stuart Patry, our Deputy Director of Administration, Sean Whiteman, our Program Manager, and remotely we have Clara Dobbs, who is our consultant. And I'm not sure if Kevin Price on as well?
Yes,
And
yes.
Kevin Price they're joining us remotely. Today's presentation will focus on the recommendations for improvement to our permitting process, and it includes ag worker housing development. This is a process that we had embarked on for the past, not for the ag worker housing, but as far as improving our processes for the last 3 years. This falls in line with our people-centered services platform that we are standing up and building out. We have prioritized recommendations with the greatest impact, and in many cases where we've already made progress, we'll identify those areas that better suit and will help the public maneuver through our process, and we get better quality plans so that we can be more efficient. If you'll go to slide 3. We have 4 areas that we're going to speak to today, and we're going to break it out in phases. We have people. We're going to speak on people, process, policy, and our technology. Increasing ag worker housing has been a priority for this committee, and in 2024, after we had embarked on the county internal audit review with our IDA division, we hired Barry Dunn to take the mantle and get us over the finish line, working on policies, implementation, and working within the department. Although the county has gained efficiencies in recent years through the integration of permitting software and implementing process improvements, we are working much closer with Barry Dunn to really expand these efficiencies. So the first phase of the project includes Barry Dunn. They conducted interviews with stakeholders. They worked with the public. They worked with county staff. on the assessments of our processes currently. And then they went to other jurisdictions to see how work was actually being performed. The second phase of the project, where we're at right now, also includes analysis with other agricultural counties and how they're doing business in California, producing a benchmark of analysis so that we can springboard and make improvements so that we can improve the process for getting agricultural housing actually built. The third phase and final phase of the project will be implementing the recommendations that we will be presenting today in those 4 categories that I spoke of earlier: people, process, policy, and technology. These are the areas within our process and within our department that we know need great improvement. So at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Clara Dobbs, and and so we thank you for this opportunity. Clara?
Thank you so much, Jack. Good morning, everyone. I will talk about the recommendations for improvement and also take a closer look at those categories Ms. Oceano pointed out: people, process, policy, and technology, and how they will be reflected in those recommendations for improvement. As discussed, we worked over the past year with the County Project Management Team and the Department of Planning and Development. And we identified 34 recommendations. And when we were last before you in August of 2025, we took a more detailed look at those 34 recommendations. Where we are now is that we have worked with the project management team to prioritize 13 recommendations. These are 13 recommendations that the County Project Management Team and the department are ready and have started to work on implementing to improve the process. And these recommendations span across those key areas of making improvements to policies, ensuring that technological systems are modified and upgraded to make it easier for applicants, to reduce inefficiencies in the process and to streamline part of the process, and also to ensure that there are appropriate adequate staffing resources and that the staff have the skills that they need to help support applicants through the process. So taking a look at the prioritized recommendations as they relate to people, 3 of these recommendations were prioritized. The first one, enhance permit software and IT staff. Currently, the department's IT staff is really lean, and they also rely on on-call support and shared resources. To help ensure that this function of the department is equipped to make the necessary system modifications so that the permitting system can become easier for applicants, it would be essential to help to build up those staffing resources. And this will help to, at the end of the day, enhance online tools for applicants and to make sure that applicants have the technical support that they need. Also, building planning capacity. The planning function is a very key function in the development review process. Planners often perform as project managers. They help to usher that project from the intake to the intake process to the approval process. And in some cases, it provides a lot of technical support and also some hand-holding for the applicants too, to help them navigate the complex rules and regulations. So in order to ensure that the planning staff are also well equipped, it would be beneficial to build up the planning resources there. We also took a look at the planner staffing numbers and compared them with peer jurisdictions. And what we found is that the planning capacity in Santa Clara County compared to those jurisdictions, they have one of the lowest planning staffing numbers. But when you look at the workload in terms of application workload per planner FTE, they have one of the highest workloads. So in order to ensure that there is more processing power for applications and also to increase applicant support, it would be beneficial to shore up those that planning staff capacity. In addition, the people recommendations also focuses on ensuring that there is adequate training and skill building support for the staff. And this will help to identify any training needs, any skill building needs, to help ensure that staff are also well equipped to help applicants navigate through the process. And this could mean fewer reviewing cycles that applicants have to go through, and also helps to ensure that there is improved accuracy in the process, in the review process. Moving on to process. So when it comes to the process prioritized recommendations, four were identified. These are recommendations that will help to ensure efficiency, clarity, and clarity through the process. It will help the applicants navigate the process a lot easier. First, standardizing terminology. Just helping to ensure that everyone, all of the reviewers are using the same terms to describe the same parts of the process and to describe the same requirements. This will make things easier and more clear and consistent for the applicant. And will help to eliminate any confusion for the applicant in the process. Also, completing the online appointment scheduling improvement. This is an improvement area that the county project management team, that the county department has already begun to work on, and this is already underway. And this will ensure that applicants have reliable access to subject matter experts. So at the beginning, before they even start the process, they will be able to go online to schedule an appointment, and we'll be able to meet with virtually or in person directly with subject matter experts that can give them guidance and help them to identify any process challenges that they need to consider before submitting an application. The next process improvement is about updating submittal and intake process. This will help to ensure that there is a standardized and clear consistent process from application to application in application intake and submittal, and will help to ensure that the staff are equipped with checklists to ensure that applications that are submitted are complete and meet all of the requirements and that they are ready to go. This, at the end of the day, will help to make sure that only complete applications are being submitted. And when that happens, that reduces the permit processing time of those applications, because you are ensuring the completeness of the applications before the submittal happens, and you're not working to get additional requirements met during the process. Also, providing site parcel constraint information early. This is about helping applicants to identify any potential parcel constraints that they need to consider before they start the process. So at the time when they make their online appointment and they speak to those subject matter experts, the subject matter experts will also give them information about parcel constraints that they need to consider, so that the applicant will be well informed and can make informed decisions about their application. Moving on to policy, there were 3 prioritized recommendations for policy. The first one is about continuing the advocacy for ag housing policies. This will help to ensure that there are more housing options and fewer barriers as it pertains to the different types of housing, whether it's permanent or rather it's temporary and seasonal housing. Getting all of and using advocacy to get all of the partners to work together, legislative partners, regional agencies, nonprofit organizations, county departments, to help to reduce those barriers for applicants. Consolidate planning requirements into the zoning ordinance. Um, Currently, there are times when applicants may have to go to different sources of information, different codes to identify requirements that they will have to meet in the development review process. So, what this policy improvement will do, it will help to um, consolidate all of those requirements into one location, having a unified source to access application requirements will help the applicant navigate the process a lot easier. And then also modernizing the code compliance process. And here I have to underscore the shift from that the department is making from going from code enforcement to code compliance. And what they are saying with code compliance is to help applicants guide them through the code compliance process, ensuring that they have the education that they need or how they can correct their violations, and that they are approaching code compliance not as a punitive way, but as a way to help to partner with community members and property owners to achieve compliance and to work with them on how to achieve that compliance. And our last quadrant in prioritized recommendations is about technology. These recommendations will help to ensure that technology, that both applicants and staff are equipped and supported with technology that will help to move applications easier through the process and will help to make that process clear for applicants and staff members. So first, the first recommendation is about defining the permitting software needs, and identifying the requirements that will be needed to make system modifications. So before going forward with system modifications, it is important to understand what those needs are by both internal users of the system and also external users such as the applicants. This will help to ensure that improvements are meeting their goals of making the online permitting system easier for applicants. Establishing public dashboards and key performance indicators. This will help to ensure that information is readily available and publicly facing for the applicants and for the public, which will help to build transparency and trust with the public. And then ag worker housing, developing a one-stop location on the webpage where people that are looking to develop ag worker housing or want to support the initiative, they have clear guidance on what is available through the county and also have some clear resources that can support them along the way. And just to highlight here, we also, once we identified those prioritized recommendations with the project management team, we conducted a change readiness workshop. What this workshop does is that it helps to bring the subject matter experts into the room, and it involved the participation of the county planning department and other departments such as airports and roads and the Department of Environmental Health. And this will help to ensure that the recommendations can be successfully implemented. So we all work together to identify any challenges we need to consider and to bring ideas and solutions to help ensure successful implementation of these recommendations as the county goes forward. And I will turn it over to Jack to describe the key priority recommendations in progress.
So Our next steps, thank you, Clara. Our next steps, we're looking at, with assistance from Barry Dunn, updating our policies and our procedure manuals so that we can have that consistency that Clara was speaking to. We have loaded our opportunity for people to have appointments with subject matter experts. This helps them understand the process, and we're already working and having this implemented where people can, there's 2 different appointments they can make. They can either have a general consultation or they can have a land use submittal consultation. This is really important because it helps us get the information to them before they're preparing their plans and getting ready to submit, before they make that commitment. So that's really important for us. And this ensures for us and for the public an ability for them to get through our process more efficiently. And that's what we're working towards. And this builds out our people-centered services. So we are available for any questions that the committee might have or clarifications. And this concludes our presentation.
Great, thank you so much. We'll go to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak?
We have no requests to speak.
Okay, great. Close public comment. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, I do. I'm surprised that our presentation was really that short. And would love to see the rep from Barry Dunn be in person the following time, and that way we can get to know the person. I know the work is with the planning department, but this is an overhaul. I would call it an overhaul of a lot of processes internal to the planning department that are really important to all of us, especially my district, and I believe your district as well, Chair, because we are probably the only ones that have space and land, right? And I know I have quite a bit of projects in my district. So I'd just like to start out by thanking you for this is a very thorough analysis of the planning department, and I know it's difficult when you're looking at your own self or somebody else is looking at your home and telling you everything that you should change. And so it takes quite a bit of vulnerability to do that, and some guts, really. So thank you for doing that. I know that it must have not been easy. But it also is very exciting because there's some really great recommendations. I think out of the 34, there's 13 that are prioritized, correct?
Yes.
And so I just want to understand a little bit about the why you prioritize those over the others, because I do have some questions about some of the ones that haven't been. And I'll tell you the ones that I think are I'm just on board with you. We don't have to really discuss or anything. Our recommendations too, which is increasing the number of departments planning staff, although as we're moving into a new budget year, there's obviously some issues there. And recommendation PR1, which is establishing clear and consistent use of standard terminology for planning and permitting terms, as well as I think that would lead also to hopefully a campaign or outreach effort that would allow for us to also normalize those terms with our community, right? And when I say community, most developers or folks who are invested in making or submitting applications to us. Formalizing, recommendation on PR4, formalizing the land use entitlement application submittal meeting to review plan sets, discuss site constraints, and set forward requirements for complete application. I'm just reading this. I know you guys know this, but I'm reading it off for the public who's following us, of course, at home. And recommendation PR5, update the application submittal and intake process. Recommendation PL2, and consolidate planning requirements and processes into the zoning ordinance, followed by number 6 in the same PL 6, document and modify the code enforcement process. I think those are really important. We've seen some of the issues that have come up with our agricultural industry not too long ago, so I completely agree with those. But because I also understand that my district might be very different from other districts where folks need to have some level of consideration about their septic system versus, access to city services or the nearest city service. There are some recommendations that I'm wondering about prioritization for those, and that's recommendation PR7, which provide, 6, which is establish a process to provide information about site constraints. And I mean, it goes along with one of the prioritizations where, you're going to meet with folks to give them more guidance on projects, right? And I think just falls into it, but it isn't one of the prioritized recommendations. So I think when you give the information, you have to give it complete. And so, this is for discussion. I don't know what the chair thinks. Also, we're going to take this to the board as well. But these are just some of the thoughts. And then providing lists of experienced consultants who can provide services for various permit requirements. In the county, specific to septic systems would be really important for my district, possibly for yours too, Chair, I would think, and maybe some of the hillside areas. And then, sorry. Sorry. And then update, of course, this is very direct, PR 10, which is update and standardize the process for well and septic approvals. PR 11, update permits and inspection cards to include more specific guidance for projects on required inspections. And I'm wondering if there was a reason why some of the process-related recommendations were not included in the proposed prioritize recommendation list.
Supervisor, let me start, and then I'll invite the director to chime in. Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Exec. Overall, the department and some of the other permitting departments spent the fall in really challenging sessions trying to figure out how you incorporate this work while you're trying to do the regular work of the departments. And so the recommendations were, and the prioritization are a function of a few things, including work that's already in progress. So as the director said at the outset, while we appreciate the consultant support and that outside look into the department and being able to identify best practices at other peer jurisdictions, the department was, in fact, in the process of trying to make some of these improvements. And you'll hear the director, and you'll see it in the website, well, people-centered services is at the heart of these recommendations. So the challenge is trying to figure out what there's a sequence to some work where some work has to happen before the following work. We're hearing you clearly, and the recommendation PR6 around site constraints is a personal priority for me, because as we know, 99% of our land is rural, and so unlike cities, you're going to have very specific parcel constraints, riparian setbacks, slope considerations, and other types of very specific to the parcel. And so we'll take that back, and we'll figure out how to incorporate and move it forward in terms of priority. A lot of that work will involve the Department of Environmental Health, so we'll re-engage them, because that's really one of the more significant constraints is, do you have enough land, for example, for a septic system? Do you have access to well water? And so we'll take that information back. We absolutely support the idea of a campaign relative to PR1, and I know that through, one vehicle may be potential, the ag tourism work that you're undertaking with my colleague, Ms. Hernandez, is a potential way to amplify the work around that. And then, to speak to the code compliance now, I think, as you noted in the rural zoning update, that part of the concerns that we're hearing in these sessions is people fearful that they're not even compliant with current code requirements. And we are, we've never been punitive. First of all, we only go on a complaint basis, and our job has always been really to make sure and help property owners be compliant. It's never about, assessing fees. And so I think this name change really is more reflective of the philosophy as opposed to code enforcement. And so, we heard during that process this concern and the fear that property owners have with respect to trying to engage the department and fearful of, fines and penalties. And so we are trying to make that philosophical shift and ensure property owners that our intent really is to ensure that their property is safe. So with that, let me invite the director.
I will just piggyback on what Sylvia said. We are really trying to change the terminology so that outward-facing representation of the department is more open, where people will engage with us. And while we haven't changed the name of code enforcement, our code compliance is where we're trying to go, right? And we know that there's policy and terminology that will have to change, but that mission of people-centered services is the basis of where we're at. And so from just our core values of being knowledgeable, like what you're talking about, speaking with people early on about wells, about septic, and having those subject matter experts in that initial meeting, the land use entitlement meeting, we've set that up where we have environmental health, we have roads and airports representation, and fire in those meetings as needed, so that early on people can understand before they make that investment what they need to do to move forward. And so we are having those conversations early on. PR10 is going to require a little more work. And we have quarterly meetings with environmental health, Dr. Underwood and her team. And so we're looking to address the well and the septic system policies so that people can understand how they can move forward.
Yeah, and I get it. These are process-related recommendations that may take a little bit longer to develop and to implement. Although I think you just finished telling me, we're learning as we're moving through some of these processes, and not only just learning from our from each other, from the different departments, because you bring them, I saw that everybody was brought in, like all of the departments that have something to do with the planning department was brought in. And I wonder, of those, and I know that there was like I think there was a list here that was, you looked at like peer comparative research or for fees and maybe for other areas as well. And so I just wonder, of like the stakeholders that typically come into our system, the different kinds, like a large developer, medium and small, or the ones that do maybe more infill development, who might come up with more difficult things. And I know infill is a lot more challenging than just, a regular lot. Did you get feedback from those different types of stakeholders as they move through our process to tell us, in a very thoughtful and respectful way, what their experience has been, so that we could learn from those experiences just as much as we learn from the departments?
Yes. Cara, I'll refer to Cara Dobbs because Barry Dunn conducted those interviews with those stakeholders. So Cara?
Yes. Hello.
You heard the question. The question was about working with the stakeholders. What type of feedback did you get when you were interviewing, when the firm was interviewing the stakeholders early on that worked through our process? There was a variety that you had reached out to.
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, there were first a variety of stakeholders with different backgrounds, different perspectives coming into the process. Some were personally developed, had experience with personally developing their own sites. Some other stakeholders included consultants, property owners, such as architects and engineers, as well as stakeholders from the universities. So there was a diverse group of stakeholders in that process, which really helped to identify common themes we were hearing amongst the stakeholders related to challenges in the process. And some of those challenges are directly tied to the recommendations that you heard today and the 34 that were identified throughout this process. These recommendations will help to ensure that the process is more efficient for applicants, and also help to ensure that applicants are getting the resources that they need, and also earlier in the process, so that it's not only an efficient process but easy to navigate, and that they are set up for success from the very beginning.
Cara, you might have not been listening previously. I would love to see you here in person the next time
Yes.
this is presented to the board. And it's a little more difficult to do this way, but I can appreciate that you're here. What I'm looking for is a list of the types of stakeholders, and what I was wondering is, did you look at developers that were large developers, that were multi-house, housing developers? Did you look at medium-sized developers that might focus on lower density or single-family homes? Did you look at small developers that tend to focus on infill and might take on more of the challenging sites, because infill is always more challenging? And so what I want to know is what kind of stakeholders did you have? What is their qualification in terms of being able to give us the kind of feedback that we think we would value?
So Supervisor, if I may step in, when we bring this item to the board, we will provide a list so that you can see the breadth and scope. It was, as Ms. Dodd indicated, quite a variety. We had sought out, and this was so long ago that I'm not sure you all would remember, but we had also sought out from your offices whether you had specific developers you thought would be useful to engage. And so, for example, through your assistant supervisor, we were able to engage with Avila Construction, that, as you know, has done a lot of projects south of Santa Clara County to get input in terms of our processes. And then let me just speak to, since you raised it a couple of times, so the decision to have them remote was my decision, and it related to budget. I was saving the budget for them to fly out for the board presentation, so that was a error on my part. I should have had them flown out for this presentation. I was just trying to stay within budget.
No. I mean, I think it's fine. It's just hard to connect on an item that is so tremendously important, especially for the future of our county and for our compliance with the housing element. We need to make sure that all of these processes internal to the planning department are what works not only for our stakeholders and for those who in the future might apply to develop, but also internally to staff, right, and to the other departments. And so I appreciate and I value that you brought all those stakeholders together. I just want to make sure that when you give me that list, that we're going to see a myriad of folks that represent the different kinds of developers that can give you the different feedback, right, that would be important, and not, kind of one of the same. To me, this is developing policy, right? And so when you develop policy, you want to hear those folks who might be opposed to some of what you are proposing, because they also allow you to either shape your policy slightly different, not because of their criticism, but simply because they allow for you to think about some inadvertent consequences, either for implementation or just whatever might be problematic that we might not be seeing. And so I value all of that, and so I just want to see who was giving the feedback to shape the recommendations. And in the end, the recommendations that you've chosen are 13 of them, and the total is 34. And so the other piece. So let me just put a period to that. That's one of the reasons why I asked the questions that I've already asked. I know that some of the process-related recommendations are going to take a little bit longer, but I think they're as equally as important. I know that you know this, and it might just be a matter of what you can actually do, right? What you're actually able to commit to doing. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out this next phase that you have, this third phase, is implementation. You'll start with the 13, and then what happens after the 13?
So I'll start, and I think the director's eager to jump in as well. Just to be clear for everybody in the public, we're doing all the recommendations, and so I don't want anyone to walk away thinking that we're not committed to the entire scope of work that we have before us. It was just, as I said, trying to prioritize work that we were already having underway. And as I said, there's sometimes sequencing to work, that one thing has to happen for the next thing. But let me invite the the director.
If I may. So the people-centered services, our platform, is very, very important for us to build out. And it is the core of everything we do. So our core values, and I'm going to get to the other 34, we had to prioritize where we have the most critical areas that we needed to achieve right now. And one of those is knowledge. Getting the information to the public so they can understand how to get through our process. So that's why we set the priorities based on our mission and our core values. We have to get information to the public so they can understand how to navigate this process. Secondly, we have to set up opportunities for them to access us in an efficient way. And that was why we prioritized the appointment system, because we need them to be able to come in, get this information, right? And that runs, again, in our people-centered services. When we get to policy, policy is going to take longer. Dealing with the change in septic systems and wells, that is a process that runs concurrent with our people-centered services, but it's going to run in that second phase, that third phase, because people are trying to process applications right now. For example, ADUs and JADUs. These are discretionary permits now. And so we have to get people in so that we can make sure we're meeting the legislative requirements. We need to have these appointments so they can get this housing built. So that's how we set up that prioritization. As Sylvia said, we're going to do all 34. How we prioritize was based on the critical need right now, and we have to get this housing up and get it out, right, and get it issued. So there's legislation that's just coming, and so that was our. Go ahead, Supervisor. I can see.
No. I'm glad you're asking me. I don't want to actually ask what I really want to ask, and I'll ask that offline. But I think I hear you saying that the legislation is helping drive or helping prioritize some of these recommendations. And would you be open to sharing the legislation that is prompting us most?
I can do that. I don't want to be inaccurate in the numbers.
No
So
worries.
I can do that when we come back to the board. We can outline what legislation is driving what prioritization. Certainly, that's no
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
But I think what we can say simply, though, is that, as I understand it, you're going to help me with this, Director, is that we have a slate of legislation that has been enacted by the state that requires very short windows to process applications, and that is something that has tremendously affected our ability to do the work. And so I just wanted to say it really is around the time frame we have to process applications.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, listen, I'd still like to see some of these, the recommendations that I've already outlined, that I think are go hand in hand with the information. I mean, to your point, Jack, you're saying, your focus is on letting folks know or giving them enough information so that they can take the next steps. And I think the ones that I have mentioned so far, at least for me in my district, would be really helpful, and that has a lot to do with the septic and water. And, the recommendations that I've already asked. And so maybe what I could ask for is offline or on an off-agenda report, ask for additional information and a work plan that could help me understand where these can fall in line or where these are going to fall in line. Versus I know that there's a third phase and all of them are going to get implemented, but we have very constrained resources in our planning department, and I know that times are going to be very difficult for our whole system, not just the planning department, yet we still have obligations to meet that either are because of legislation or because we have an increase in our housing targets that may be unreasonable, but we still have to comply with them. And so we have to do what we need in order to get there. I have just a couple of more questions, and one of them is we have a study session later on in this committee about the cost of development, and I wonder how that fed or informed any of the recommendations that we're discussing today. Is there any impact or to the recommendations that we have right now? I don't know. It's just
The one study session that I'm familiar with is on the in lieu fees for the Stanford general use permit application.
later on today in this committee we have. Yeah. The housing department. Yeah, the Office of Supportive Housing is doing a study session. And I just wonder, in general, the cost of development, how did that play a part in any of the recommendations that you have or the issues that you found in the system?
What I would say is a couple things. Number one, OSH was a stakeholder in terms of this process. This is more narrowly focused on how the Department of Planning Development and its allied permitting departments, environmental health, fire marshal, roads, et cetera, can improve our internal processes for the submission and the processing of applications, land use entitlements, and buildings.
So I understand how different it is, but it's also interrelated. The cost of development and maybe the I don't know what we can actually do in terms of cost of development, because we can either just understand it and accept it and reduce fees, increase fees, waive fees, are some of the very few options that we can take when it comes to cost of development. But that also impacts the planning department, right? So if one of the recommendations is to waive fees or it is to reduce fees, you know, what would that, how would that impact these recommendations here? And, you know, we can think about it. It doesn't, I don't have to have an answer today. I'm just wondering, as we move into this very different era of history where everybody's going to be impacted, the federal government is really hindering the wellness and of our system, of our county system. And so because of that, all of our departments are impacted. And so, I mean, you know, it's just a domino effect as well. I don't know, maybe, hopefully, the rich will get tax breaks that alleviate them so well that they're going to be able to develop more. I don't know, you know, it could happen. But short of that, I'm just wondering what that nexus is. And so when we have an opportunity, I'd love for us to think about how those two things work with one another. In the meantime, I think I'll and I don't know what the chair, what you think, but I think this also merits a study session for our greater board. I know I'm making a motion to, and I've already included the motion. Cynthia, you saw me and I saw you. We both like nodded at each other. She already got that started, and so I'm open to hearing what you have to say about that, Chair, because I would love to see a study session where we understand this collectively as a group, and with that knowledge also accept or are also informed by other study sessions that we plan to have in the future, one of which is the one that we're having in this committee, because everything is interrelated, right? We're 6 degrees of separation from everything that touches us. So I'd love to see that happen, but I'll leave that in the air for your comments. Just the last thing that I have that is separate from what I've just finished talking about is I saw the recommendations as part of the next steps is the implementation, right? This is a third phase approach, and I'm just wondering from the information gathered from the jurisdictions, because you did gather quite a bit on the agricultural worker housing aspect, but I didn't see the next steps for that. I'd love to see next steps, and I can make that as part of the motion as well. And that way we can all collectively hear that answer. And then I'll end my comments just by thanking you once again for not only the flexibility to take input from an outside agency that's going to give you all kinds of recommendations, but as well as from hearing from us, the board, on our feedback, and hopefully with our feedback collectively, well, here at a committee and then collectively as a board, we'll be well on our way in supporting you and seeing the next phase of the planning department, because this is exciting to me. This is very exciting. This kind of internal analysis is something that I feel a lot of planning departments everywhere, including the one that I left at the city of San Jose, would, you know, greatly benefit. And actually we did not a formal analysis like this, but what we had was like a stakeholder meeting, and where everybody came in and talked about some of the processes that the planning department or that they were having a difficult time with, but they were specific to projects. What was important was that there were different kinds of stakeholders and different kinds of developers that would give their very lively and in real-time feedback. But sometimes that's very unfair because that's specific to one project, right? And it's very self-serving. I think this kind of analysis is very different, and I think it will create the kind of changes that will lead us into this next phase, and I'm excited about that. So congratulations for getting this far and for allowing the process to work, and of course incorporating us into it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Vice Chair.
Ooh, and I would love a second.
Yes, I'm happy to second the motion, and just share a few thoughts. And I don't know if we might incorporate some other items, but first of all, thank you to staff for the report and for engaging in this. In my previous role too, we actually did a similar audit of our planning department because we were getting a lot of, frankly, complaints from folks, saying how cumbersome and slow it is. So I think it is really good to do this once in a while. This is a good opportunity to find improvements. And I appreciate the report. I think it was very comprehensive. It was helpful to see the comparisons with other counties. Clearly, yes, we are probably it looks like we're under-resourced in many ways. And so that's a big challenge. I do appreciate the focus of people-centered definitely services, yes. And then, just thoughts in regards to the technology, I think, and I've been thinking about this for a while in conversations with people, if all the departments that we have, planning is really probably the place that could benefit, maybe I don't know if it's the most, but highly from the use of technology, and I would include AI. Like yesterday in HHC, we had a presentation from our health care system and the use of AI technologies there. I think this is definitely a place where we could be looking at that. There's a council member in one of my cities who's has a tech background, and he had shared with me how he would get questions. So he downloaded all the codes and everything, of the cities into his, and was able to just, through like a chat bot, provide information when people typed in, questions. So they have a little chat. So this is really, I think, where we can be creative and look at doing things like that. So that's what I would hope that we could aspire to. I do hear often, and I was at a meeting yesterday of some folks, Stanford landowners, and they had shared with me the need for consistency and information that staff provides. And I hear that all the time. Based on who you see, you get a different answer. So we really need to provide that consistency, and so I understand that training is key to that. But also, too, again, if the more we can incorporate, AI, and to have those answers that are consistent, I think that would be very helpful. Moving forward, and I appreciate Vice Chair's comments about, I guess, what's the next steps, and I had thought too that this is very helpful. What I would like to see, and I know you have a general timeline here, but again, so you have the first 13 priorities. My question was then, okay, what's next after that? How do they tie into the others? So it's like a step-by-step process, and if you could flesh that out, that would be very helpful. And then a timeline to that. I know you have spring 26 through winter 28. Is that for just the 13 priorities, or is it for all of them?
That was for the
Okay,
whole.
great. So yes, if you could just tie them together in the sequence of the priorities, that would be helpful. I know that we are challenged at this time, but my sense is that this is going to take some extra resources, and so I don't know if that's being included in this budget cycle. I know it's hard to ask for more funding when we're looking at reductions, but to me, these might be one-time resources, funding So that would be the question, if you can include that too, what you're looking at funding-wise. And then I know that there's been discussion, and part of this is cost, we talked about cost recovery, fee for service, moving towards that. So is that a part of this plan, and could you lay that out too as in the implementation timeline? I don't know, and I was going to ask you when you're planning to take it to the board, because I've been thinking, should we have one more stab at it here? Depending on when you're taking this to the board.
I think our timeline, we were aiming for April?
I think it was April, but Clara, can you just verify the timeline that we had proposed? You probably have it
I believe
handy.
you're correct. We were considering April
Okay.
to the full board.
Is that because there is a anticipated funding request, or do you?
Supervisor, as you know, we have quite a significant reduction target for the
Yes.
next fiscal year.
Yes.
And the planning department also had its share, and the department has submitted a reduction proposal. As you both noted in the report, we are less resourced than our peer jurisdictions.
Yes.
Our longer-term plan is to move to full cost recovery,
Yes.
and that will be the means by which we can add appropriate levels of staffing and IT. Given our current circumstances, I just don't think it's going to be feasible to expect, unless the board is indicating in the May workshops that this is a priority. I just don't think, given our current circumstances, when you see all the reductions across the organization, that'll be feasible. So the answer is, long-term, we're trying to move to full cost recovery in order to be able to fund these necessary resources.
So even with the 13 priorities, is the intent to do that within your current budget? It is. And
Yes.
you think you can do that?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead,
The
Cindy.
answer is yes, but we also included in the agreement with Barry Dunn some implementation support. Also, in particular, helping us with trained staff for that consistency, but also help us write the policies and procedures that are necessary to effectuate these changes. That's always hard for any department, is looking at long-term how you change your policies while you're trying to do the day-to-day operations. So that will be a tremendous help to us.
Okay. Okay, I mean, I think it's going to be challenging. I definitely understand our current environment. I guess for me, and I feel like the board should at least be presented with what the options are. And yes, I know we have a lot of competing priorities, but in light of the state laws that are driving this, and we have a deadline, like a timeline to follow,
Yeah.
I just do wonder that if, I personally think that it is worthy of us at least considering, like, what would it take to get this done? What would it take to speed it up and get it done sooner? Just to have that information so that we can then make the decision as to whether it's worth putting forward.
Happy to take this back to the county executive.
Great. So should we then plan on maybe our March meeting, doing another quick
May I
quick
ask,
check-in before
maybe,
we take it
yeah,
to
maybe
board?
we move it to April, because March, the report's already due for March in
Oh,
our
okay.
cycle. So could
Oh.
we, in our timeline, it's already due for the March meeting.
What do you mean, for the?
We have
board?
a schedule that when we prepare a staff report, they have to go through a sequence of reviews. And so we're behind, and so I just want to daylight that. That's all. I'm not saying no. I just want to daylight that we're behind, so it might be a supplemental that we end up submitting. But it's going to take us some time to do this analysis that you're asking, to lay this out.
Yes.
And so that's why I was suggesting perhaps we come back to you in April, because we might need to meet with D1. We might want to reach out and make sure we have everything, or even
Okay.
D5, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was again thinking, budget, so.
Yeah.
If we need to go to the board in April, then.
Right.
You need to come back
Do you
here
want
in
to,
March.
so Sylvia,
So-
go ahead.
We'll figure out how to make that work in March.
So you want it in March? Okay, no problem.
We'll figure it out.
Let's plan for it, and then,
Okay.
if it's not possible, it's not, but let's just plan for that then.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Great. If that, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Perfect. Vice Chairperson Arenas,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairperson Napakoga.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Great, thank you. We'll go on to item 5 and 7, heard concurrently. And this is KJ. Let me start off with you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Supervisor Abikoga, Consuelo Hernandez, Deputy County Executive. I'm joined by KJ Kaminsky, Director, Office of Supportive Housing, along with a few folks from her staff, from her team. We are going to present item number 5, allow for questions, and then give you the presentation on the supportive housing system reports. We are mindful of time. We are going to talk very fast. If we can put the presentation up, for reference, the board issued 3 separate referrals on the topics around affordable housing financing, affordable housing cost of construction, possible new funding sources for the development of housing, and through that, if there was an opportunity for a future bond measure or other revenue source, what would be some of those elements that we would recommend? And through that, and sorry, can we put up the other presentation, Laura? Thank you. And through those discussions, the Office of Supportive Housing very diligently met with our development community. They meet regularly with city staff and offered them the opportunity to give some feedback. We also have a really great working partnership with the Oversight Committee for Measure A, and they prepared their own report around lessons learned from Measure A, and that is included in your packet as attachment B. The other items in your packet, as I mentioned, I think Supervisor Arenas in passing, the Office of Supportive Housing conducts their own analysis for the cost of construction for their development projects, and they leverage other studies that are prepared by our colleagues. So in your packet, we also provided a copy of City of San Jose's 2025 cost of residential development. In that study, they're looking at the cost of construction relative to comparing market rate and affordable housing. The Turner Center for Housing Innovation, they also produced the cost of affordable housing production. And most recently, the RAND study did a comparison of multifamily housing in California compared to Texas. In most of those reports, the Office of Supportive Housing is a partner in the preparation of the data or the collection of data. And so we're packaging it for you here. Next slide. As a reference, particularly because both of you came to this board after the shift in the county's role, we did want to highlight that this is the second time around or so that the Board of Supervisors has taken a leadership role in the production of housing. We first started around 2002 when the board allocated $12 million to affordable housing and created the Office of Affordable Housing. And our role has shifted, but wanted to give you a sense of what we were doing before the housing bond passed and before the board affirmed the county's role in affordable and supportive housing. And if you look on the right to today, you will see how large our portfolio is today. We talk a lot about resources and staffing. We had a staff of 5 when the housing bond passed, but it was really me and 2 county council attorneys creating a program before we were actually able to hire staff. Natalie Monk, who's now the HCD division manager, has created a really great team. And we'll talk more about that with you in March when she gives her update, but just wanted to give you a sense of how lean the team is and how much they accomplish, how successful they are in getting grants. I was just sharing with my colleague, Sylvia, I think they have received every single grant that they've applied for. And they leverage all of the partnerships with Jacqueline and her team. I'm sure there's something coming with SEPA soon around some of the ag worker housing and work around that. So just wanted to give you that framing before we jumped into the presentation. Next slide. This first section is to highlight what the financing landscaping, which both of you are very familiar with, but wanted to give you a highlight and then compare what it was in 2016 when the housing bond passed to what we're seeing today. Next slide. So you can see there are three categories of primary funding mechanisms: local revenue sources, California state funding, and federal funding. Most recently, both the state funding and federal funding are at risk of coming down because of all the changes at the federal level, the impacts of H.R. 1. We are still ongoing fight on the Continuum of Care program, and our housing choice vouchers are constantly at threat of also losing their resources. Despite that, the work that the Office of Supportive Housing has done has led to 10 of our developments being funded last year by looking at the cost of construction, by partnering with the Housing Authority, City of San Jose, Destination Home, city partners to look at the cost of construction and bring that down. Supervisor Arenas, you might have seen some of that work in the two properties that we celebrated last week, where we worked really closely with the City of San Jose and charities to bring the cost of that development down. And then at the Magnolias, in our partnership with Eden, we're able to leverage new funding sources to bring our investments a little slightly lower, even though we ended up having to put more money in to make the project happen. They were able to save some funding through value engineering at the project level. And in some instances, on the local revenue side, the commercial linkage fees have not been we haven't seen those volumes come in as we were seeing once, but they do still exist. Next slide. I won't go through each of these. I spoke to this already, but really the one thing I want to flag for you is in 2016, when the housing bond passed, there was true alignment with the city, with the cities, the state, and the federal government around how to address housing and homelessness. We don't see that today. We see a lot of finger pointing, who's doing more, who's doing less, policies are not aligning, investments aren't working. We started this housing movement in 2012 as a proof of concept. We got the bond passed in 2016, and today we have over 6,700 units in the pipeline, either in operation, under construction, or waiting for financing. And all of that was done in partnership, even though there's still a lot of finger pointing through that. I did also want to flag for you that now there is an affordable housing bond at the state level for $10 billion in funding, and we're working with IGR to get some of that information over to you. It's made it on to the next phase. BAFA is also exploring a regional housing bond, and we're working with Working Partnerships USA on, they're exploring this credit enhancement and guarantees. It is a very expensive product. It doesn't yield the results that they see in other parts of the country, but we are keeping an open mind and working with them through their exploration. Next slide. You also asked us to look at pathways for different tax measures. We wanted to present the two tax measures that are actually possible in our community, not to say that we are supporting one or the other, but just to give you, it's a parcel tax or a general obligation bond. Those are the two types of tax measures that could potentially be possible in our community. Both face large hurdles, primarily because of the voter threshold. They both require 2/3 voter approval. One levies an annual tax on parcels. The other is exactly like our Measure A. And the bonds are issued over time. The nice thing for the pros on both, which is something that we saw in the current housing bond, is when you have large upfront capital, it allows you to plan ahead. So like in the early stages of the housing bond, we knew we had a significant amount of new resources. It allowed our developers and our cities to plan for the development. When you have a sales tax, you don't have that same predictability, and it creates some challenges. But nevertheless, those are the two options. Next slide, please. We also have seen some of our neighbors and farther south neighbors be successful in those local measures. That sentiment is not the same in Santa Clara County and East Bay and other parts of our area where we don't see the voters interested in another bond related to housing. I don't think we've been able to achieve a 50% acceptance rate. I think it's actually going down. But just wanted to share with you that locally in City of Santa Cruz and San Francisco most recently, they did pass local measures. Next slide. Supervisor Arenas, you asked us about specifically the cost of development. Next slide. There are 7 different factors that impact the development cost. The first is land, and the location matters. So for instance, in Palo Alto, we are acquiring a property, 3001 El Camino. The cost of that project, or the cost of the acquisition, is roughly $11 million. To give you a comparison, the Magnolias, which we broke ground on last week, that was a roughly $5 million acquisition. The Magnolias is a 1.5-acre parcel. The El Camino property in Palo Alto is about 1.1. So significant cost impacts because of the cost of land. We've also seen, and within construction, there are 2 costs that we tracked: hard construction cost and soft construction cost. Both have significantly increased since the early days of the housing bond, and mostly after the pandemic and with the recent tariffs that the federal government has implemented. In 1 year, we saw a 20% increase in the cost of goods. So those factors over time just continue to increase. We also see development fees and impact fees increasing as cities, including our county, are looking at cost recovery. Those costs increase. But what cities can do to mitigate that, the city of Los Altos, for instance, while they did not have any local resources for the production of housing, they waived $4.5 million in fees towards contribution for our 330 Distal Circle project. In Mountain View at Lot 12, the city opted not to require a $10 million parking replacement obligation in order to see that project happen. So those are ways where cities can contribute rather than collecting fees. It is expensive for the cities. They do lose out on expansion of park. It's a give and take, but that is how housing can happen in those communities. Thankfully, on the regulatory and approval delays here in Santa Clara County, we don't see that happening with our housing production, particularly in the urbanized areas. Most infill developments have a streamlining path, particularly when it's affordable and supportive housing. So we don't see that as an impediment, but it is a development cost, nevertheless, in the grand scheme of housing. The lack of flexibility and complexities around the tax credits and layering, that adds to the cost of construction. We had one project that waited over 2 years to get tax credits, and so the cost of construction compounds when you're waiting. We've offset some of those expenses by buying the property, and we hold it. So the land cost we hold, we do lose out on the property taxes, but the overall development of costs for that project is less because we're holding it rather than the developer. And of course, we have to follow prevailing wage. So when you look at the cost for market rate construction versus publicly funded or publicly subsidized housing, there is a significant cost there from a labor perspective, even if you don't see much of a difference on the supplies. And then, of course, most recently with the rising interest rates, we have seen the cost of money go up. And what that means is you have a higher mortgage on your permanent side of the shop. So you have to generate more income to be able to pay your mortgage, in simplified terms. And that creates a need for higher subsidies, and it's just more expensive to finance these developments. So that's kind of your overall what the key drivers are. I won't go through the next slide that highlights the report outs from the 3 reports that we shared as attachments. But if we can go to the next slide, just gives you a very brief summary of each, and we're happy to talk about them with you later. But now I think I will hand over the presentation, next slide, to KJ to talk a little bit about the lessons learned.
Thank you, Consuelo. KJ Kaminsky, Director for the Office of Supportive Housing. The next few slides, we're going to give an overview of implementation, and much of that you've already seen, so I'll go through it quickly. And Natalie will share as well how sort of reflections on what has worked well and challenges that we faced. Next slide, please. As you know, and as Consuelo mentioned, the county's role shifted in 2014, and we took a more active role in developing and supporting affordable housing. And really, the housing bond allowed us to focus resources on priorities that the board established at that time, specifically deeply affordable housing, supportive housing for folks with special needs, including unhoused households and chronically homeless households, and also a strong focus on strengthening our coordination between cities, with the county and cities, our affordable housing community, and other governmental entities like the VTA. Next slide, please. You have likely seen this chart before, but just a summary that when the affordable housing bond passed, there weren't specific set-asides for populations, but in 2017, the board approved a 4,800 unit goal, and for affordable and supportive housing, our multifamily programs. And in 2021, the board approved goals for homeownership and mixed income housing that we have continued to report on as well. Next slide, please. In terms of our progress towards those goals, we have over-delivered on the multifamily goal to develop 4,800 units. We're on track to deliver over 6,700 deeply affordable and supportive housing units. Of the 64 projects that we have funded, 36 are in operation, 10 are under construction, and 9 have secured all financing and will start construction in the coming months. This includes, as Consuelo mentioned, the 2 projects that broke ground last week in D5, and just wanted to note the good news that we closed on construction financing this morning for 3001 El Camino in District 5. What this means is 53 of these projects are currently occupied and providing housing, or will be providing housing to folks in our community in the very near future. And on the homeownership side, we have helped to date nearly 100 households purchase a home. Next slide, please. I think this is one of the most important slides, I think, in the deck, in my opinion, because what Measure A hasn't just resulted in a production of units, it's really changed the way the county supports housing production and has resulted in other ancillary long-term benefits to the county and to the supportive housing system. The bond has allowed us to increase OSH staff capacity, as Consuelo mentioned. That allowed us to leverage things like HomeKey Plus, the NPLH program, the permanent local housing program, and the local housing trust fund. So these are all state sources that we've been able to leverage, over $260 million in total. And also can't highlight enough the strength of our ability to work with partnerships with not only cities, but also the Housing Authority and other partners. The implementation of the housing bond has just strengthened that work and our ability to come together and develop affordable housing. Next slide, please. I mentioned that it's really the housing bond has also strengthened our supportive housing system. This slide provides some highlights and sort of a overview of that change over time. Before Measure A, there were about 400 units of site-based permanent supportive housing in our entire system. We now have over 2,000 site-based supportive housing units, with hundreds more under construction. This expansion has also led to improvements in the way that we support people from moving from homelessness into permanent housing. We've, for example, reduced time from when somebody gets a referral to housing to when they move in, because we have the unit identified. We've created interim housing options, reducing that housing search that we all know is so challenging in our community. We've developed new models like our site-based rapid rehousing model, which provides a long-term affordable unit even after that rapid rehousing subsidy ends. And this, it has also developed the skill set of our team and our coordination on leasing up these units. We currently have a less than 2% vacancy rate in our supportive housing units. So these are just a few examples of how Measure A has directly strengthened our entire supportive housing system across the county. Next slide, please. We set a geographic goal with the housing bond to have affordable housing in every supervisorial district and all cities. And that was intended to encourage that collaboration with cities and strengthen that engagement. And I'm happy to report to date, we've approved projects in all supervisors districts as well as 10 cities. And what we learned here is that, cities have very different approaches to affordable housing developments. The ones in which they have exceeded the housing bond goals are typically the cities that have a housing pipeline available and ready, while some of the other cities struggled to just identify a development that we could partner on. And with that, I'm going to pass this to Natalie Monk, our Housing and Community Development Division Manager, who's going to share a bit more about what we learned to be most effective and considerations for future.
Thank you, KJ. So I'm going to review several components of how we administered the housing bond and highlight some of our most effective strategies and note some of our current considerations and reflections. As I believe Consuelo mentioned, the Citizens Oversight Committee has also put together a complimentary report which summarizes lessons learned and specific recommendations from their perspective, which is included as Attachment B in your report. As part of the implementation of the bond, we negotiated 5 MOUs with the VTA, the Housing Authority, and 3 of our local cities. We also host a monthly coordination meeting with all of our cities and the Housing Authority, which has helped us advance many of our pipeline projects. Our MOUs with VTA and the Housing Authority have resulted in increased competitiveness for tax credits, ASIC, and other funding sources. And our MOUs with the cities have helped us reinforce our local pipeline coordination. Some of our reflections include not every city wanted to enter into a formal MOU. Larger cities with established pipelines were able to access housing bond funds more quickly. Smaller cities didn't necessarily have funding set aside for them, and they might need more time to identify potential projects. So in the future, the county could consider establishing a set aside for smaller cities or for all cities by production goal. Next. We've developed several partnerships with private funders, including the Housing Trust of Silicon Valley, Destination Home, and the Housing Accelerator Fund. These funders helped us build a shared pipeline of potential developments and attracted new developers to our county. This type of close coordination in the early days of the bond provided private funders with more certainty that they would be repaid, and then in turn that allowed them to provide better terms. Some of our reflections include encouraging more private investment in our region. The Supportive Housing Fund was limited in scope to acquisition and pre-development funds for potential projects with a single lender, and creating shared underwriting guidelines across multiple funders, which could increase efficiency and coordination. Next. In 2017, we released an over-the-counter NOFA that remained open for developers to submit funding applications while we had funding available. This provided a lot of predictability for developers and very clear underwriting criteria for supportive housing. It also allowed us to be flexible and move quickly to fund developments and align with other funding opportunities. We've had a very strong partnership with the Housing Authority to issue project-based vouchers to these projects through our competitive NOFA. And the NOFA had a clear prioritization of county goals and units set aside for county referrals. Some of our reflections include potentially adding application windows to increase predictability for developers and staff, working towards a local one-stop shop to reduce application timelines, looking for more options for the county to reallocate funding for projects which have struggled to obtain all of their financing commitments. And we could also consider prioritizing developments with lower costs and or the timely delivery of units. Next. The housing bond clearly prioritized deeply affordable and supportive housing, which was tied to the greatest needs at the time. It had very clear, the NOFA had very clear priorities and goals for supportive housing. This, as KJ mentioned, this was an opportunity to create and pilot a new model of site-based rapid rehousing. Our NOFA and our county-led development program have allowed us to do some very innovative developments, including mixed income and homeownership developments. Some current reflections include counting all units being developed while we're communicating goals and outcomes to the public and media. There is a need for new or expanded project types to meet current needs and fit the current financing landscape. And we could consider expanding the types of site-based supportive housing being built. Next. Midway through the implementation of the bond, we received direction to accelerate the production of housing by acquiring new properties. This strategy allowed us to address unmet community needs, and it reduced both developer cost and risk to the county. We were able to partner with Destination Home and the Community Housing Fund to provide unsecured pre-development financing, which reduces risk to both the county and our developers. In terms of reflections, the county purchased land without a specific housing program or need in mind. The program did not end up accelerating production, but it did create really unique housing tailored to very specific community needs. We recommend looking for ways to expedite the developments while retaining the significant benefits of the program. Next. The Independent Citizens Oversight Committee is the independent committee which oversees and audits the county's implementation of the bond. It's been very effective in filling an advisory role in addition to auditing. The civil grand jury highlighted that inquiries, challenges, and concerns are openly shared between OSH and the committee in a manner that is transparent and promotes the public's understanding. They also highlighted that the committee is made up of members with subject matter expertise and that the collaboration between staff and the committee has been very productive and beneficial. And a few reflections include the reporting format was not standardized at the beginning. It took a few years to develop a standard report. And it's been helpful to review implementation strategies and opportunities as early as possible to receive feedback from the committee. Next. All right. We continue to apply lessons learned to deliver the remaining housing bond projects. In the next couple slides, we can share our current work and areas of focus. Next. Working closely with the Housing Authority in our cities continues to yield results. By meeting regularly and aligning our priorities, we saw 11 projects get awarded tax credits in 2025, including a project without tax credits that received a HomeKey Plus award of over $40 million. Next. We have another 9 projects that are applying for tax credits or soft financing, and we're working very closely with our developers and local partners to try to get these projects across the finish line. Next. We're also continuing to advance our county-led development program pipeline. We have 4 housing bond funded developments which are pursuing land use approval currently, and we're expecting to release solicitations for the 2 additional sites later this year. And that concludes our report. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. I'm going to have to do a quick time check. I will take public comment and then ask questions on this item. I guess I'll ask Elizabeth, is it possible to hold the item 8 to the next meeting? 7, sorry. We were going to take concurrently, but given the time, and I'm really sorry, I have
Yes,
to.
it's possible to continue item 7 till the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Any public comment on this item?
No request to speak.
Great, thank you. Vice Chair, do you have questions?
Oh, but I know we don't have that much time to ask them because I think
I'm
it's
so
3
sorry
minutes.
about this.
But if this is continuing into the next meeting, I'm happy to make those questions then. Yes,
Okay,
of course.
thank you. Yeah, so I did want to ask that we bring this item back as well. I think we have more deeper dive that we want to do. So could we bring back 5 and 7?
5 and 7. I think we need a motion for that. So I'll make a motion to continue items 5 and 7 to the next committee meeting.
Thank you so much, and I will second that motion.
Great. Vice Chairperson Arenas
Yes.
and Chairperson Abacoga.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you again. And we won't, we'll just continue it, so we won't start over. We'll just get right into the questions and comments next meeting. Thank you. So we'll go on to item 8. Are there any reports from our departments? I'll just look to you, go down the row here.
I have no report, thank you.
Harry Freitas, Director of the Roads and Airports Department. I want to report that currently, due to storm activity, we have 3 roads closed in the county. Mount Hamilton Road is closed due to snow. Moody Road is closed due to a downed tree with power lines, and Stevens Canyon Road is closed due to a downed tree with power lines. PG&E's been dispatched to the 2 downed trees, and everything else is open. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Vice Chair?
I do have a question on that. Hamilton Road, you said it's closed. It'll be closed for how long?
Well, we're clearing snow on it right now. I mean, it's closed for 2 reasons. One, it's closed because of the snow. The public safety professionals, the sheriff and the police have closed it to keep people from driving up there and causing a traffic jam. So there's really 2 reasons. We're clearing the snow. If it stops snowing, the snow on the road will be passable, but there'll still be restrictions to only allow people who live up there. So the road will be open but controlled. We'll probably have it cleared today if it stops snowing.
Oh,
That's Upper Mount Hamilton Road.
Yeah.
That's not Lower Mount Hamilton Road, all the way
Right.
to San Antonio Valley.
yeah. No, that sounds amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Rec?
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Siba. Edward.
Good morning, Supervisor. Due to the time, I'll do my comments next time.
Thank you. And KJ?
Nothing additional to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment on these reports?
No request to speak.
All right, thank you. With that, then we will adjourn, and our next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 at 10 a.m. It says Thursday on the written, but it's actually Tuesday, March 17th, and it'll be in the Board of Supervisors chambers here, 70 West Heading Street in San Jose. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.